Hello. Good evening, everyone. I should be live right now. Hope you can all hear me. Welcome to the second race of the Classic Day Championship in the second season, and the very first one I'm streaming to YouTube. So if you are subscribed to YouTube already, then it's a lot easier to find. You don't have to switch between websites to see the VOD and the race itself. Today we are driving in Killarney, and if you are looking at the track right now and you know Killarney, you might be a little bit confused, but trust me, we are in the same place physically, but we are in a different period of time. This is in this is an old version. I'm quickly going to look. It's a 1976 version. That is 20 years before I was born. And it's extremely old. This is the version that we are driving on today. And it should be very exciting. It's a very exciting track. In mostly for races. I think hot lapping, it's not that interesting. It has a very long straight, fast flowing corners with a decent bit of straight between them. In terms of racing though, can give way to many overtakes. If you remember the race last week, if you were there live, or if you have speedrun seeing the race that I just published on YouTube, then you will know that overtaking on straights with these cars is very much possible. And gear ratio will be super important. And that brings me towards Mick Schleifer, who is driving out as we speak. Last race, he was struggling a little bit. We expected more by simple virtue that he was completely unbeatable in the first season in the Porsche cars, but was struggling a lot, and most of that came down to the straights. Now, I have since heard that the reason for that is that he didn't have his gear ratio set up properly. And that means that the last gear is simply too short and you can't hit the correct max speed, the max speed you would want to hit, because you don't want them too long. In most tracks, I think Bathurst and this track will be tracks where you want that final gear to be as nearly as long as possible, or at least so long that you don't top out. It's important for the drivers to get right, and of course is not a substitute for driving this track as optimal as possible. And I think we'll be on board with Mick Schleifer for a lap just to see. The car is a little bit fidgety. I don't like that. That is simply a product of the game. Can't really help that. Let's see what Mick Schleifer makes of this track now. Very long start-finish straight. We'll brake quite quickly after the actual start-finish a little bit. Drifts into the corner. You want to be on the power as early as possible. Take as much of the track and beyond as the game will allow you to. A small lift through there. Not flat out in this car. Here also you want to see how much speed you can carry through. Here you have to brake. You have to slow down a lot of speed. Oh, and Mick Schleifer is taking the drift all the way with him into the corner. Like a decent exit and line up for this corner. This is a very tight corner. Not easy to get right, but he gets it right. Then down here, small S-bend, a chicane if you will. Downhill, back uphill, into the last hairpin, and the exit here is extra important. It's a very wide exit that you can take. Want to carry as much speed on the straight as you can, because every kilometer per hour that you are faster at the start will translate to a lot of distance by the end of the straight, because of how long it is. Xliver immediately moves up to second place behind Metal Sim VR, who currently has the fastest time, followed by Schwarzbauer, Kaffelorg, and Wujek in P5. We've got G-Foil in P6. We've got Chunky, who I do not... I have a vague recollection of the name. I'm not sure if that's me imagining things. I will quickly see if I can find the results. He wasn't there last time, Chunky. And I believe he also wasn't there last season, so we have new blood today. First race of Chunky with us today. But Udler, who didn't join last race either, I seem to vaguely recollect that he was there last season, but I'm completely imagining things. It's not on the list, so also a new driver for today. But the pace is pretty good. If the practice is to be an indication of what we're going to see during the race, everybody being within a second of each other is really good for us, so please do stay tuned. I don't think you'll regret spending some time seeing these people do a little bit of racing. In P6 is pretty good for him, because you can see how he pushes the car. Actually, I was gonna move away, but he is sliding this car through these corners like there is no tomorrow. He is really trying to push all out of this car as he can, and it's a good moment to do it in practice. Of course, if you push too hard during the race, it's a lot more detrimental to your chances. He's doing a good enough job for now. P6 in the session, and as I see it, Xliver moves up the table a lot, 3/10 faster than Metal Sim VR, puts 4 people out of the second range. I think Metal Sim may have also improved near the end. Those two do have very good times. It will be very hard for other people to catch up to that. Ends the practice session. See Udler in P5 did improve his time with that last lap. Less than a second behind Xliver. And we go into qualifying. Now, what are we expecting for qualifying? Well, is Xliver going to get pole? I think most people would say probably. Last time around we did see Xliver struggle during the race, but during qualifying he was again very strong. Slippy won last race in a very strong fashion, dominant fashion, one might say. He's not here today. It's good for the championship, gives people hope. Hopefully he will join in later races. Because simply winning the first race, of course, is not enough to take the championship trophy home. Kaffelorg finished that race second. And here he is, driving out. Oh, there's somebody on the outside, maybe fixing some issues with the rig. Hopefully that is nothing major. Kaffelorg finished second last time. Won a battle against Xliver, on track, on pace. Seems to have decent confidence in this car. Maybe as a result. Maybe that was the cause of his silver medal spot. Let's see if we can repeat that today. Schwarzbauer last time was P4. I've got Wujek also here today in P5 he was last time, and G-Foil was P6 last time around. Metal Sim VR did join. He unfortunately did not finish. Had a really big accident, I believe, at the start. Of course, we hope for him that that doesn't happen today. But you never know. I've stuck with Kaffelorg for a bit. And I will apologize. I don't think I will be on board too much because the jitter is maybe a little bit too much for people's eyes. So we'll see as much from trackside as we can. You can also see the undulation in the track geometry. It's not a flat track. And on the straight, that doesn't matter too much. These cars will stick to the ground well enough. Everywhere else on track, with the corners, just about every corner has some verticality in it. Definitely something that can destabilize the cars just a little bit. Cavalo, pretty good first outing. Very smooth on the car. We don't see him slide around so much as we've seen other people do. Now, normally in Automobilista, the game that we are playing on a little bit of slide in your car. Even for some applications in Formula cars, a little bit of slide is not the worst thing in the world. Advantage, of course, for a casual player is that it is very enjoyable to drive as a result. And especially with these cars, the things you can do, it's quite amazing. We have Cavalo setting his lap, and he is in P2. Very smooth altogether. A little bit behind Schwarzfahrer though, who finished the lap right before him. They're both ahead of Oudler, who is currently in P3. G4 in P5, and Mick Schleifer sets the pace, and what a pace! Now this is, I mean, this is what you start to expect from Mick Schleifer, just beating everyone out by a lot, and you can see how he pushes the car. A little bit of rear locking there, but it only seemed to help his turn in. He's so good at taking these cars to their limit in a way that nobody else really can. And Wojciech does set second place. Only half a second. I say only half a second, a little bit facetiously, because of course half a second in racing is absolutely ages. If you do that for 10 laps, you are completely gone. Ooh, and a little bit of a lock up from Mick Schleifer there, lifting the wheel off the track and it not being able to grip up correctly with the road. Will it be an issue? He's still driving this lap. Might just be because he enjoys it. But it might also still be an improvement. Let's see what comes out. Don't think it will be. No, it is. And it's pretty big. 4/10 down on his previous lap time. Only Wojciech within a second. But barely. Absolute domination in qualifying so far from Mick Schleifer. Now Chunky just set his first lap. Moves up to 7th, and now everybody has set a lap. Oudler in P8, but we expect more from him later on. G4 in P6, Cavalo in P5, Metal Sim VR in 4th place so far. Schwarzfahrer in 3rd, and Wojciech in 2nd place. Now I want to keep an eye on Wojciech today in general. Car does look a little bit damaged, but I don't think it is damaged. I think that is simply a visual glitch. And you can see how the lights are floating there. The reason is, of course, that this game prioritizes safety above realism. So the lights have to stay there because it's more safe, you know? That's where they belong. Now, Wojciech has had very good races, but most often we're talking about the first half, or maybe the second half. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but we have always seen that he has pace. And hopefully, this will be the day that he converts that into a good finishing position now. 3rd right now, Cavalo did beat him out, and Mick Schleifer again improved. Now over a second away from Wojciech. Not a huge improvement, but it is again an improvement. And you have to think, if that's the kind of laps he will be setting all race, will we see him again? Mick Schleifer, absolute domination so far. Wojciech does not improve, but actually, is he? Yeah, he has crossed the finish line. Doesn't improve, but Metal Sim sure does. Into P2, and actually, looking at that time, that is only 3/10 behind Big Schleifer. That is very impressive, a very strong time from him. Slots him into P2. Of course, we do talk about Big Schleifer domination a little bit, but it is good to remember that he has his weaknesses. One of them that we have identified is that he doesn't start so well. We do see Schwarzfahrer into P3. He doesn't start so well. So Mick Schleifer, what we've seen a little bit late on the start. Last time he sort of completely missed it. Which dropped him back quite a lot. And around Bathurst, that is the opposite of ideal. Hopefully today it will be a little bit better. Also means that for drivers being in P2 is the place to be. Because you could be in the lead by the time the first corner rolls around. Those are just the kind of opportunities you have to be on the lookout for. Because during the race you can wait a long time for Mick Schleifer to make a mistake. And you can keep waiting. Probably not going to happen. Right, going up the list then. We'll start from behind. Chunky has said his first couple of laps. 4/10 behind G-Foil. Nothing too bad, as long as he's confident with the car. He seems very smooth. And I think that does mean that there is a little bit of time in there. His car does seem to like being thrown around. And not quite optimizing the corners yet. So it leaves a lot on exit. Because that could very well just be down to confidence in the car. And he will continuously build that. Not only as practice goes along, qualifying goes along, we've already had practice. Also during the race, that will come. G-Foil in P7 currently. And then Wujek, who started this qualifying session out very strong. Being behind Mick Schleifer by not so much. And that lasted until Mick Schleifer improved. Wujek hasn't really improved since. Maybe this lap will be it for him. I don't think it is. It's a bit ambiguous where the finish line is, but yeah. No improvement for Wujek right now. Oudler in P5. I don't know how he feels about that, but if I look at who is ahead of him, I think that's a pretty good spot. Close behind Cavallor as well, who did finish second last time around, remember? So, very good job from Oudler there. Schwarzfahrer beating him though, doing one better. P3, very respectable. Metal Sim VR in P2 though. Ooh, and we do see him make a really big slide. And it seems completely intentional. That is incredible. There is just something that the top two have unlocked in this car. The other drivers have not. So we're not talking about game mechanics here. We're not talking about, they unlocked a third brake pedal or something. I don't know. They just drive this car so much different. There's apparently a shadow bug on the straight. That's very funny. They just drive this car completely different from some of the other drivers. We see the slightly slower drivers just be a lot more smooth with this car. There's quite a lot of shadow bugs. Interesting. Some of the drivers, oh, that's a mistake. That is simply too wide, trying to take too much speed into turn 1 or in the exit, and that will not stick. Mick Schleifer remains on top. No challenge for Metal Sim VR for now. Yeah, the way Metal Sim and Mick Schleifer drive these cars is completely insane. Drifting it all the way around, the way they were never meant to be driven, and it's faster. And by a lot. Something the other drivers are not doing, and it's not intuitive. Most drivers will want to be as smooth as possible. It does mean you have a lot of control over the car. And most of the time, in most simulators, it is faster. Automobilista, not so much. Automobilista, every car has a little bit of drift car inside of them. Slifer goes for another lap, and you can see how wide he takes that. He doesn't even exit. Ooh, and as we see, the final boss has entered the arena. Slippy has come to take what is rightfully his, it seems. Late in qualifying, he's just about in time, in fact. Was at risk of missing it entirely. But he is here today. And that will mean a very tough challenge for Mick Schleifer, who still has pole position, but Slippy will have one chance, and exactly one chance, to take it away from Mick Schleifer, and we will be watching that. But first, let's see if Mick Schleifer improves on his time. Across the line. Will he improve? He has not. My reference is the priority board. I don't think that's the start-finish line, but it's the best I have. No improvement from Mick Schleifer for now. Still one more chance, and only one. Just like this man, Slippy. Dominant performance last time, and that is dominant with a capital D. Was nobody that could match this guy, let alone beat him. Maybe today will be different, but the first shots have been fired by Mick Schleifer while he was away. Slippy may not be having any of that. It is still 0-3, unfortunately. I was hoping, because it was a late join, maybe for this car it wouldn't be the case, but here he goes on his one and only qualifying lap into turn 1. Do you see a little bit of sliding on exit? The car is being pushed on the throttle, taking as much of the exit as is allowed, as is possible, lining up early for this corner. Necessarily bad, and we do see him being a lot more smooth than we've seen Mick Schleifer be. So it's not necessarily wrong to be smooth, but we do see on exit a lot of sliding. Through here it is almost inevitable to have a little bit of sliding there, but through the last hairpin, and they just have to hope that it is enough to topple Mick Schleifer's 119.7, because after this exit there is nothing more you can do other than drive across the line. Will it be enough for Slippy? Will he take pole position? He will not, and it is far off. P8 for Slippy, and G-Foil also finishes his lap. We'll see where he ends up. It is 7th place for him. Mick Schleifer takes pole position in a dominant fashion for qualifying. Madsen VR in P2 and Svartfire in P3. And very good times by those three. Cavallo close behind, in fact, and Wujek again very close behind, promising a very interesting battle yet again, as these drivers produce so often. I've got Oodle, G-Foil, Slippy and Chunky behind the top 5 in that order exactly. There they stand. It is dark. It is very dark. See, they do have tail lights. Not as bright as the headlights, of course. So the cars will be visible to them. You should not have any issues with seeing other people, thankfully. Of course, it's never a guarantee that they're not going to hit each other. Hopefully we do not see that. Pressure is on McSlifer. And actually, if you look carefully, I want to... Oh, can I quickly... hang on. Turns out, Metal Cynthia has pole position. He is half a nose length. He is like a quarter of a nose length ahead. Like a headlamp's length ahead of McSlifer already. What is this? That's being screenshotted. That is interesting. That is very interesting. Alright, I've shared it with the group. That is extremely funny. Should not be... I mean, everybody has that... everybody has a disadvantage. It's mostly Cypher that's gonna suffer for it. So it's not entirely fair, maybe. But that is how it stands. Lights out. And away they go for a 30-minute race. And it is, again, not a very good start. But McSlifer misses it again. And Metal Cynthia blasts off. Completely away from everybody. There's a big pack behind him. And I think Chucky either missed a start completely or decided to play it extremely safe. There's so many cars together. I don't know who is who, but Schwarzfahrer does make it around the outside of McSlifer, but he keeps the inside McSlifer and maybe even has a better exit there. Wojciech in P4. Very good start for Udler in P5. Cavalo in 6th, drops a little bit. Slippy already 1 place up. G4 is the victim of that. McSlifer retains P2 after an attack from Schwarzfahrer right behind. And Wojciech is also close behind. Udler has to face pressure from Slippy and Cavalo behind. Slippy already making it past Cavalo very impressively. And very quickly we settle just a little bit. But on the straight, I do think we'll have a lot of overtaking happening right in front of us. Schwarzfahrer already through the last corner. It's not a very long track. You can see that right now. 1 minute 20 in and already we are having our first slipstream fest. Metal Cynthia in the lead, McSlifer following closely. And then we have Schwarzfahrer followed by Wojciech, Udler, Flippy right behind trying to make up positions. But there's not really any overtakes yet. We do, I think, have Chucky who has issues maybe with the sim rig. Is not moving. Has parked on the side. Hopefully it's not an issue. Oh, but there is contact between Wojciech and I believe it's Schwarzfahrer. Schwarzfahrer ends up ahead. Udler close behind and Slippy is also close behind. Unfortunately, we have lost Chucky. I think it was a mechanical issue in real life. Slippy makes it past Udler into P5 now. And Cavalo also opportunistic as he is. Tries to make a move there. Udler breaks later. Is it too late? It appears to be. Switchback from Cavalo. And he has cleared him. Also putting G4 right into that fight. So we move backwards. Udler, a little bit too much grass there maybe, but he keeps enough speed. Now in front we do have Wojciech close behind Schwarzfahrer and Slippy right behind that, but also McSlifer has caught up to McSlifer has caught up to Metal Cynthia. It hasn't caught up to himself. I don't even know what that means. There's McSlifer challenging Metal Cynthia for the win. Looks on the inside. Not going to be it this time around. We do see Slippy looking, but not making a move quite yet. Wojciech goes a little bit wide and moves back in to maybe defend. Slippy is still chasing though. Oh, as I was looking away really quickly, McSlifer has already made a move. I didn't expect it to be that quickly, but here he is, McSlifer in the lead. And Cynthia had to concede that position without too much of a fight. I think that might be a wise decision last time around. Of course, he did crash out early. Gained no points that race. This time he would very much like to finish and get off that 0-point finish. Svartvar ahead of Wujek still and Slippy right behind. We'll probably look at them in a moment. Do quickly want to see if Middlesim can come back, because the gap, it is 4/10, but it's not a comfortable gap, especially considering how long the start-finish straight is. Quickly look on the roof. Start-finish straight is Middlesim stronger there. Doesn't appear to be the case. Not as much as we saw last time. Mixlifer does have his car sorted out correctly today, and as a result, it can be a lot harder to overtake on the straight. Now Slippy is looking at Wujek, and this is crucial for Mixlifer as well. The longer Slippy takes to overtake Wujek, assuming that he can repeat his incredible pace from last time, the longer he takes to overtake Wujek and Schwarzfahrer and Middlesim VR, that's all the time Mixlifer has to really run away. Because if Slippy is faster, he's going to start reeling him in. And if that happens fast enough, then we could see a fight for the lead. Of course, you want to prevent that. If that's not necessary, then just race fast enough to win without any fights. But not going to be that simple, perhaps. But Sevilla is closer this time. Closer than last lap around. Mixlifer is vulnerable here. But Sevilla already faster. Looks on the inside. Doesn't Mixlifer have anything to defend here? Around the outside, maybe? Doesn't appear to be possible. Somehow it's already cleared him on the inside and covers it up nicely. Metalsim VR retakes the lead of the race, and Mixlifer is stuck battling. And that is not entirely what you may have expected. Oh, Mixlifer didn't have the best run there. Had to say too far on the left. Little bad entry. Maybe not quite what we were expecting, as Metalsim VR was caught up very quickly. Caught up to very quickly, and Mixlifer overtook so quickly that I missed it. Oh, but there's a big mistake from Metalsim. It seems he goes wide. I did say drifting is part of this car, but not that much. He does go wide, but he keeps the car rolling ahead of Mick. Perhaps a re-overtake is in order. Oh, I do see, yes, Slippy has indeed overtaken Cavalo. Cavalo has made a mistake. Slippy currently in P4. Now, very quickly, if we go on the roof of Mixlifer, I think it's a little bit less disturbing than inside the car, but you can still see twitching, unfortunately. Now, the slipstream is, well, it exists, but it is not strong enough for Mixlifer to overtake this time around. Let's see if VR goes defensive. Ooh, but maybe that wasn't quite the right move. Doesn't carry too much speed, but I think Mixlifer also made a small mistake through there. As a result, status quo. Slippy in P4. He is close behind Schwarzfahrer. Hopefully for him, that won't last too long. Mixlifer catching up to Metzger very, very quickly. There are two battles that we would both like to watch. I wish I could show them side by side, but unfortunately not possible. If we do this, I think we'll have the best view we possibly could. Ooh, and that's a really big drift from Schwarzfahrer. Is that going to be enough of an error for Slippy to overtake? Slippy is very, very close, but it's not enough. Out of this exit, I do see Mixlifer is losing a little bit of time. 6/10 I don't think is enough, but Slippy is so close. He can practically taste the fumes of that car. On the inside, even in this little kink, it's not a corner. You basically go flat out. It's basically not a corner, but a little bit too much friction on those curbs. And Schwarzfahrer remains ahead. Is Slippy going to be able to overtake anyway, though, into turn 1? He looks, but he doesn't go for it. Oh, but there is a really big spin by Schwarzfahrer, and Slippy I don't think he was able to avoid that. Unfortunately, hits him. Svartfire falls back far. Slippy is unleashed into P3, and the next targets ahead of him are M. Schleifer and MVR. Metal Sim and Mick will have to deal with a chasing Slippy, a hungry Slippy, and we'll be seeing his true pace sooner rather than later, and that will be hopefully extremely exciting. Now, I would like to apologize to Wujek. I think I may have jinxed him. I said, like earlier, was it in practice or in qualifying? He hasn't been too consistent. He's generally shown good pace. And he does today as well. A 20.9 is very good pace. But unfortunately, he's had a couple of mistakes at the start. And here he is. I did say he has generally a good first half. And I would like to apologize for those words. That's on me. Regardless, Mick Schleifer very close to Metal Sim. I think this is what we will be watching. Metal Sim will be... I think it will be very happy to have this battle. Honestly, there is some pressure, there is some tension. And if you are a fan of chess, you will know exactly after today what tension and pressure can do to a person. It's very hard to keep this up for another 20 minutes. But he is keeping Mick Schleifer behind right now. And for now, that is all that matters. Of course, you have to remember in racing, you just saw Svartfire make a big mistake. And instead of losing him, it's losing him one position. Send him all the way back to P6. If you are to make a mistake, if you are to lose position, have it be a small mistake. Have it just be letting him go. And don't have it be a big crash, a big mistake. Losing several positions. Mick Schleifer on the inside. Not a move he is willing to make right now. But he has a better exit, and you can see that. He is wider on entry here too. He is lining up for a move, but I don't think that turn-in served him well. Had to ditch too much speed. But he was lining something up. It's not going to be easy, and you can see with that just how Mick Schleifer has to take this battle seriously if he wants to make a move. A big slide there, but it seems to work. We've seen that a lot more. Every time I've looked at that, I'm thinking, will the driver behind catch up? And they never do. So I'm starting to think that's just a racing line. Can't be ideal, surely, but he seems to be fine completely. That's VR again in the lead. Another lap. Across the finish line, he is faster. Mick Schleifer this time around. Bigger gap at the finish line. Actually, he's faster than Slippy, and that is critical. That is very important for his race. Metal Sim VR is showing us exactly how you need to drive if you want to beat Mick Schleifer. A masterclass so far. We're not halfway into the race yet, but he is doing an excellent job. However, he still has to contend with a pit stop. The race will also be taking place in the pit lane, where the drivers do have to stop at least once. I believe they are not obliged to change anything. I don't think this game has that feature. They do have to stop at least at a litre. Splash and dash is what they call that. And I think the last race they may have changed the wheels, but they reduce the wear this time around. McCliver is very close behind, but it seems like, and I might be going crazy, it seems like it has a little bit of overspeed. It has more confidence into this corner. He brakes later. He carries a lot of speed. He doesn't quite hit the apex, so McCliver will have an advantage there, and that's what we were seeing last time round. What we're seeing again here. Will he have a better turn in here? He does better than last time around, and now he's lining something serious up here. Is there a move through this corner? I don't think so, but maybe Metal VR does have to go defensive. He took it seriously. He didn't want anything going against him there. McSlifer goes for a stronger exit. He stays very close behind through this corner. I think Metal just nailed it a little bit better. And that relieves just a little bit of pressure. Ooh, but he hits that curb though. Is that going to be a difference maker? Every time I said it at that corner, apparently that corner just has a fixed time, no matter what you do. So McCliver doesn't get closer. And Metal VR, it's all about this exit. I think it's okay for him. I think it's okay. But it's not comfortable. McCliver is still in the slipstream. He's weaving a little bit. I think that's not particularly illegal. I don't think anyone will punish him for that. It is just a little bit of playful weaving. That's alright. McCliver is trying to find something. I think he prefers to beat someone on track. Boxing now and emerging ahead is great for your championship, but it's not as much fun for the viewables and not for the driver. See Metals him. Ooh, I think he's been a bit scruffy this lap. Not quite getting the lines right, but he's in the right place at the right time, making it very difficult for McCliver to turn a small speed advantage into a permanent positional advantage. Especially permanent, because last time we saw McCliver in the lead, it was very short-lived. Oh, Metal Sims makes a big mistake there, a really big mistake. And I think McCliver was about to benefit from it, but had the wrong line. As a result, had to back off. Metal Sim is in the pits. Metal Sim has boxed, and McCliver takes the lead. Metal Sim 4 is a mandatory stop. Slippy takes P2 for now. Is still 3 seconds behind the lead. Make it sound like that is super big. It's not necessarily. That is possible to close in one mistake, maybe even strategically with a better stop. Nelson emerges in 6th. Quickly want to check that there's nothing ahead of him, so we'll have clear air. He will be able to go as fast as he can. Slippy will be pushing. McCliver will also be pushing as hard as he can. Maybe this is where he excels. Maybe this is where he feels he can really put in the laps. If I had to guess from what I know from watching McCliver and how he drives, I don't think he's going to stop this time around. I think he's going to give it 2 more laps. I think he likes this moment to push as well. As much as overtaking someone on track is great. After having been behind someone, having some clean air ahead of you just to push is very nice. And there you go, he skips the pit lane this time around. What is Slippy gonna do? He also continues. Cavalo is not too far behind. Of course, hasn't stopped yet, but has done a respectable job so far today. P3. Oodler is now also in the pits. And will be emerging behind Metal Sim, maybe around Wojciech? Don't think, has Wojciech stopped yet? I don't think the timings show us, no information on boxing or anything. There might be a third-party app that tracks it for me. We'll have to look at that. Do not have that right now. McCliver in the lead right now, and all he has to worry about is setting laps that are faster than Metal Sim VR, 121.5 is good. It's a good lap. But might not be what he wants. Cavalo has been faster last time around. And I think qualifying time was 119 point something. I don't think they're gonna hit that. 120 we have seen. I think that's what McSlifer will be aiming for. Again, goes past the pits. 120.8. Now that is more like it. That is what you want to be driving when you have clean air, are in the lead, and trying to cover for an early pit stop of your direct rival. Now, Mittelsim VR will also be pushing. Will also be setting the best laps that he can. 121.3 from Slippy isn't good enough, I think. See what Mittelsim VR does. Currently on the top of the hill. A 120.6. That is dropping the gauntlet. That is a challenge there. McSlifer is not secure in that spot. After he boxes, I don't know if he will be ahead of Mittelsim. We've seen it a lot that Mittelsim has dropped after a pit stop, but today might be different. A 120.6 is huge. That is a really big deal. It's a gap of 2.5 tenths, and you might think that I'm freaking out about less time than it takes for a needle to drop to the floor, but in racing, that is massive. Only if you're consistent enough to do it every lap. And McSlifer is indeed going to box it. I did say he would give it 2 more laps. He has given it exactly 2 more laps. Into the box he goes. Slippy continues on. Takes the lead of the race for now. But where is Mittelsim VR? Mittelsim VR coming around the last corner as we speak. McSlifer in the pit, standing completely still. Mittelsim is going towards the kink, is turning his wheel to the right. McSlifer is driving out from the roof. We see him at the end of the pit straight. Where is Mittelsim VR? He seems to be still behind. There is McSlifer. Mittelsim VR has more speed. Is it going to be enough around the outside? McSlifer has been passed and Mittelsim remains in the lead after the strategy is said and done, but a big slide from Mittelsim and he is vulnerable. McSlifer looks on the inside and Mittelsim VR holds just about. That was millimeters from a touch from disaster. Mittelsim VR retains the lead, regains the lead, and has it all to do. 8 minutes to go, and McSlifer will be hungry for that position. As my voice is about to go, I'm quickly gonna take a little bit of zip because this is amazing battling from these two. That was amazing strategical battle, and not much has been gained or lost, but that 2.5 tenths has proven to be crucial. Now, bad exit from Mittelsim compared to McSlifer this time around, and around the outside McSlifer goes, but Mittelsim on the inside has a slightly shorter line there, but might compromise it more than it might actually help. McSlifer is ahead, and Mittelsim VR was ahead after pit stops and has now been overtaken. McSlifer takes the prospective lead of the race over a big slide, and these two, they do this a lot. They really commit for that braking zone. There is a lot of variety take into there, and if you are to confirm yourself to be in the lead, you have to go as late as you can, resulting in a big, beautiful slide. McSlifer retains the lead with that. Mittelsim VR will be racing as hard as he can, because these last stages are crucial. I'm a little confused. Slippy, I don't think he has stopped. I don't believe he has stopped, but 125 is not the time you set when you've stopped. Yeah, I think he has made a huge mistake, dropping position to G4 and Cavalo, and I think he still has to stop. So do G4 and Cavalo. G4, by the way, doing an excellent job today. Ahead of Cavalo. Absolutely brilliant. Cavalo with good pace though. a 120 generally very good pace. We check also with good pace, but again, because the lack of consistency is not helping his case today, unfortunately. And SSR looks on the inside actually, mid corner in turn 1, but it's not enough. It's not going to be enough for now, and he loses touch just a little bit with McSlifer. You could see the gap. It is a lot more visible than it has been between these two. If you ignore the pit stop phase. McSlifer is now pushing and trying to set the laps to get away from MetalSimVR, who has done an excellent job today, but the victory is slipping away. Was it just one mistake that took him out of contention? Oh, he's not out of contention yet because he's still driving, of course. And the gap is visible, but it's not big. It's not that big. I'm not sure how this car will do in the slipstream from this distance. Could make all the difference, but then again, if we look at McSlifer, he's a lot closer behind another car. He will have a better version of whatever MetalSim is having. The driver does have to get out of the way. No, he doesn't actually. This is for position. This is Slippy for position. There is no car that has been lapped as of now. There are no blue flags. This is for position. Of course, I don't think Slippy has stopped yet, unless I am missing something. I don't think he has stopped yet. McSlifer looking around the outside, but you do see it. I think it slowed him down a little bit. It has slowed him down, and MetalSim is actually right on the tail again. McSlifer being put under pressure. And Slippy is actually, he is deciding to battle. He will not let this go. And McSlifer looks on the inside, is not enough to overtake Slippy. It is a real problem for him. It is becoming a serious problem. Because MetalSimVR has regained he's gotten a lease on life, essentially. A second try, and as McSlifer has to battle for that position for any type of security that will be in the lead at the end of the race. As a result, MetalSimVR is back in this race, and in fact, he is threatening to overtake McSlifer. Around the outside, Slippy gives him a slipstream, in fact. MetalSim looks around the outside of him. McSlifer re-catches up, and he goes on the inside. Slippy is being absolutely robbed there. McSlifer on the inside, MetalSim on the outside. And this is how we are going to enter the last stages of the race. There is 2, maybe 3 laps more. These two will be battling it out. Cavallor is the only thing standing between them and a win. Cavallor, I think, will have to stop again. And, well, we'll have to stop. Period. And it should happen sooner rather than later. I think it should be this lap. And on top of that, even if he doesn't, I think McSlifer will overtake. MetalSim keeping touch, and now it is very important to do that, because if Cavallor goes in, you will not be having a second lease. You have to actually show that you are faster than McSlifer in this situation in the last 2 laps. And there will be 2 more laps. We are entering lap 22. 21, excuse me. And there's 2 more to go. Lap 23 will be the last one. Driver, a little bit of a slide there. But it seems to just be okay. And MetalSim is losing a little bit of touch on exit there. Doesn't have as much confidence as McSlifer does. And Cavallor is holding him up a little bit. Last time we did see the effects of that. But around the outside McSlifer goes. Is it enough to secure the overtake? It is not. It is on another corner. But is there a switchback possible? Actually, no. But Cavallor is now in between McSlifer and MetalSimVR, and if there was ever a blessing in the racing world. Here it is for Mick Schleifer. This is exactly what he needs to secure a win. The driver between himself and the hungry challenger Metal Sim VR. I think Cavallor... I mean, I'm sure there's mandatory stops, and I'm pretty sure Cavallor hasn't stopped yet, so I'm sure he has to go in right now. And he doesn't? I'm a little bit confused about this. I think we'll see what this means later. Carlos Metal VR is fighting for second. We'll just view it as that. See what is happening on track live. Mick Schleifer has the race victory in one hand and will be taking the other hand straight to it as he crosses the line at the end of the lap. Cavallor is in P3, overtaken by Metal Sim VR, who will be taking a very well deserved second place finish and 12 points in the championship. Schleifer will be taking the full 15. Slippy will not complement his first lead with a first win with a second win. It is P4 for him as it stands. I'm not sure what the not sure what it is with the pit stops. It could genuinely be an error in the settings that we are looking at, but as it stands, Metal Sim VR is going to take P2. Mick Schleifer, it will be taking P1, wins the race. The first win of Mick Schleifer in this BMW car, Metal Sim VR in P2. We've got Cavallor and Slippy in P3 and 4. Now, I'm not entirely sure. I don't recall seeing them pitting, so I'm not sure what is going on there. But I'm sure I will get clarification on that soon. I say I'm sure. I'm not sure if I will get clarification on that soon. I'm hoping. But as it stands, Mick Schleifer in P1, Metal Sim VR in P2, Cavallor in P3, and we've got Slippy in P4. Yeah, they did stop. Okay, they did stop. That was very good from them then. I don't think they changed tires, and I think that is the difference that we saw in pace there. Cavallor has to settle for P3 then, Slippy in P4. Oodler in P5. As far as 6th, G4 7th, and Wujek unfortunately 8th today. I'm expecting more for him. His fastest time was definitely something to write home about. Second fastest only behind the Mick Schleifer, who's at a 19.998, which is a brilliant lap time. Thank you for watching. It's been a very nice race. I'm sure you will agree. It's been great to see Mick Schleifer and Metal Sim fight, which you will believe to the death. I'm not sure if we'll be seeing an execution later today, but I hope not. Because we will hopefully be seeing more of this in 2 weeks. We'll be right here on YouTube. And we will be going to hold on to your horses as I look it up. There's a calendar in Daytona. We'll be driving the sports car course. We're doing that in 2 weeks on the 2nd of May. This has been Vindict. Thank you so much for watching. And hopefully see you next time.